Welcome to the iPhoneography podcast. It is as we record Monday, March 10th. My name is Greg McMillan, and we got a pretty good show tonight. We're gonna talk about a new app from the guys at Reeflex, and that and probably other things. But in the meantime, I guess we'll bring in these guys here, Dwight and Dave. Hey guys, how you doing?
I mean, we're here, so might as well bring us in.
Yeah, Dwight, I think you're muted.
Good evening, everyone. I
There
sure
you go.
was.
Yeah. So, uh, yeah, nice day here today. It was 10 degrees or around 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So it was a nice day. It was a good day for a drive, and you're gonna see what I saw on my drive when we hit our recent photos. I was showing these guys, and they can't believe it. But so we'll just leave it at that. We don't want to spoil it. But anyway, so I might as well ask, how was the weather for you guys today? Was it as nice as it was here? Like, I mean, it was really, there was people walking around in shorts and t-shirts.
Well,
But this is Canada.
here you have that a lot. I mean, it's actually been kind of on the cooler side here, but cold for us is 40.
Yeah.
Fahrenheit.
Yeah, because that's almost freezing, right?
Yeah, I mean it's been getting down around there in the mornings, but last couple of days it's been up around 70. So it's been pretty nice. But I've been working, so I haven't seen it.
Oh,
yeah,
that's the worst thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Dave?
It was almost.
I think you were running today, were you not?
Oh yeah. It was 60 for high, so it was warm. It was really warm. I still saw people, and I don't understand why, out with coats on when I got lunch at around noon, and the temperature was mid 50s. It was like 54, 55. And I mean, coats.
Well, okay, but put yourself in the summertime. That would be freezing, right?
For low, yeah. Well, for the summer it would be cold, yes. But it was bright sunny. It was bright sunny day, no clouds. We didn't have like heavy breezes or anything. Now, admittedly, especially the races I go to, there are people who run in shorts and tank tops in 20-degree weather, sub-freezing temperatures. They do that. I don't do that. They do that. But yeah, generally, once it hits 40 and I'm out running, I'm in shorts.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to overheat when you're running, right? So that would be a pretty good thing, a pretty good reason not to overdress.
Yeah, we have some rain starting tomorrow, and that's a huge news event out here. So they'll do a full field deployment of reporters. So there'll be 100 reporters out there in the LA area actually filming raindrops, in the puddles. That's headline news here. So
let's say hopefully no mudslides.
Well, it depends on how much rain we get, but there's usually a little bit of that.
Yeah. Well, with all the snow that we've had some rain recently, and I think our snow has probably gone down probably 2 feet maybe from what we had. So like my backyard still looks like a dump truck dumped a pile of snow in it, but it's just not as much as it was. Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, we're going to talk about a new app, and it is an app called SwAipe. Now, SwAipe is spelled SwAipe, and it's AIP because it uses AI to do some of the stuff that it does. And I think it's really cool. Dwight, I know you probably haven't had a ton of time to play with it because you've been like really bogged down with work.
Yeah, but, I think it's SwAipe, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yes, yes, AIPE, yes. And I mean, it's kind of fun, It's so okay. So let's back up. What it is is it's an app to use, like, to sort through your photos and get rid of the ones that you don't want and keep the ones you do. And it's kind of designed like a dating app because you swipe left or right. You swipe left to get rid of them, swipe right to keep them. And I find that a pretty quick way to go through all your photos and, sort them out. Now, it should be noted right off the bat that when you swipe left to delete them, they're not deleted. They're just going into a trash can, a localized trash can in the SwAipe app. So they're basically marked for deletion. And when you actually literally don't want them, then you can go in and I should have had some screenshots and stuff that I got from the guys at Reeflex for this. Maybe I can dig them out once you guys start talking here. But anyway, once you delete them for good, well then it kind of works with your Photos app. So once you delete them for good, it goes into your recently deleted in your Photos app, and they stay there for 30 days, and then they're gone, or you can go in and delete them right away. But you've got an opportunity to recover them before you even go that far. So anyway, so there's a fair bit to cover here. I wrote a blog post. It's in the show notes, and I kind of walk you through the app that way. But we're going to give our thoughts on it here and kind of dive into it a little bit and tell you what else it does besides just sorting and swiping left and right. So, okay. So Dwight, have you tried it at all?
I played around with a little bit, but I have to do a little side note, honey. I don't know how a dating app works or how you, in case you're listening, but just kidding.
I'm only going by what I heard.
Yeah. I'm sure. I'm hesitant when I see AI in anything right now. So it takes me a while. I'm really slow to kind of adapt to the concept. But, based on our get together over the weekend or late last week, Greg, yourself, myself, and Dave, I can see where it can be kind of useful. So in other words, you would take a year, right? And then you can go through all your pictures within the year, your photos within the year, and swipe the ones you like and swipe the ones you don't. I think it groups photos with similarity. My question still is how is it separating the photos? What is the intelligence behind, their algorithm to separate the photos? Is it file size? Is it actually looking at a photo and analyzing the composition? How is it picking the favorite photo, I guess, out of a bunch of photos, which I think it does have that capability, correct?
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to pretend that I'm, a master at that app yet. I'm intrigued by the concept. I haven't played with it too much, but I'm just kind of still trying to figure out the value proposition of that versus, duplicates in, the standard photo app.
Yeah. So I don't know. Okay, so that's part of what the app does, is that you can get rid of duplicates or similar photos. So, a lot of apps will just pick out the duplicate, and that what that'll do is just working this keyboard here where we are. So a lot of apps will just pick out duplicates, which are basically exactly the same, except maybe file size. What SwAipe does is not only picks out the duplicates, ones that are exactly the same, but ones that are close. So using my face on the screen here, for those watching, as a guide, if I'm if I took a picture of, and I look like this, I'm looking straight at the camera, or if I'm looking over off to the side just a little bit like that, and there's another picture, and a few different scenarios like that, it will pick those ones as well. Because if you take a picture of someone, say, and or even a scene, it doesn't have to be people, but you take a picture of a scene, and all of a sudden you're shooting away, maybe waiting for the light to just get just right, or the clouds to move just the right way, or whatever, and a car happens to run into the scene, then it's going to pick those pictures and put them all together, and you can throw out the one with the car in it if you don't want, or you can throw out the one where the person's not looking at the camera if that's what you want to do. So it does a lot of things with similar things, and it's not just photos, but it's videos too. I haven't even tried playing around with the videos part of it yet. Now it doesn't do the swiping thing for videos. The only thing, as far as I know, the only thing it does with videos is the similar stuff. So it's as far as what the AI does, it will look at the composition, it'll look at the sharpness, it'll look for focus, make sure it's in focus. And I think those are the three main things that it looks for: is sharp focus, composition, and overall, I guess the overall aesthetics of the image, maybe, I don't know. But and that's how it determines which one it shows you as the one to keep out of a row or a list of possibilities or similar images. And of course you could keep the ball if you want, or you don't, or you can just throw whatever you want. You got uh, unfortunately, it's hard to show this. Like, I could show it on the screen here, but we might as well just try to talk our way through it, because most of our audience is going to be on the audio podcast. But it's it's just really intelligent the way it picks what it thinks is the best shot out of the bunch. And then so I mean, does that help kind of clarify that a little bit, Dwight?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think that's useful. You're right. In the regular Photos app, it'll detect duplicates. And a lot of times when we're shooting with our phones, the scene changes just a little bit, as we're shooting. If it can kind of pull that in and we can see them and determine which one we like better, I think at that point, I think that's useful. It might be an easier way than going into your photos album and just kind of, going through them and trying to figure out which ones you want to keep and which ones you don't want to keep. So, yeah, I think from that aspect, it could be useful.
Yeah, and the nice thing about it is it's quick. Like to go through. Okay, say you want to start going um, through your photos. Excuse me. At, there's basically three screens. There's Explore, which is the one that you use to go through your photos. And I'm just going to open the app up so I can see what I'm talking about here. So, okay, so there's the home screen. You got the home screen. On the home screen, there's an overview section that shows you how many pictures you have to review yet that you haven't done. It shows you the number that you've swiped, and it shows you how much space you save if you were to delete those pictures. And also shows the storage on your phone. So storage used, and it'll tell you a percentage. So mine is I've used, and this is not just for photos. This is total storage of the phone. I've got 39% of my storage used up. So that's 100.5 gigabytes out of 255.4, which it's a 256 gig phone. Some of it's used for, whatever, the Apple stuff. And so also on the home screen is it shows you the very best picture of all your pictures that you've swiped so far. Because what it does is it gives them a rating or a score out of 100. And this one picture that I have, we were out in a sunflower field last summer, and my wife's holding our little dog up, And there it is for YouTube viewers. So my wife's holding our little dog up amongst the sunflowers, and it scored that the highest. It gave it a score of 95.1 percent, or out of 100. And so that's kind of showcased on the home screen. And then below that, you've got your similars, and then it's broken into photos or videos. So we'll get into the similars in a bit. Below that, at the bottom of the screen, you got your home screen button, you got your explore button. This is where you go in to start your swiping. Here's the screen where you start exploring. As you can see at the bottom, you've got your explore button, and this is what you get. They're first they're divided by year, or sorted by year. So you got 2025, 2024, and so on, and it'll figure out what year the photo was taken, and that's where it goes. And then when you open up the year, you can start swiping through, and I think they're sorted oldest to newest. I'm not sure which way it goes.
Greg, does it break it down by month?
Yes, it does. Yeah, so when you tap into the year, then it breaks it down by month, and then by individual image after that. So yes, you're right. Okay,
but I mean, it seems like I said, it's relatively easy in terms of the idea is now the reason I haven't done this yet. Well, actually, a couple reasons. One, I have a lot of photos. Because me and Ruth share an iCloud account, that a lot of the photos are her jewelry. And honestly, a lot of them need to be deleted because they're old, they're pieces that we don't have. So we just haven't gone through them because there's thousands, literally thousands. If there was a way to, and the other thing is, I wished, and I know this is the app, it sounds like, was a easy way to kind of go through and say, that's a good one, I don't like that. This one's a good one, I don't like that. And then I would also like to know, like Dwight said, what's I know they're not going to give us the full AI, here's the formula of the AI, or here's what we asked the AI to look at, but give us something. I don't know if they have or haven't. It's like the AI looks for rule of thirds, or the AI looks for something that does a standard layout, whether the I forget the name of it, basically it's the Fibonacci sequence with the spiral or golden ratio, and it looks for, like I said, the one with the dog, it may have done that because everything's sharp and there's a lot of color.
that could be,
because that was a very colorful photo, and that's one way to say that's a great photo. But if you may want to do a photo in black and white, that also would be a great photo, but it may not have the same visual pop as a full color photo. So just knowing the basic logic that's happening behind the scenes would help.
I don't think color is taken into account. The reason I say that is because one of my best photos of a month or whatever was the grain elevators with the reflection that I showed. I think it was on the last episode in our recent photos. And it wasn't even the one that everybody liked better. Everybody liked the vertical shot better because it was more of the reflection. It was actually the one that I actually showed in the podcast, where it was, the bottom of the reflection was kind of cut off, and that it picked that as the photo of the month for whatever month I took that, February, I guess. And so I don't think it uses color. I think it's composition, sharpness, and I don't know, maybe that's it. I'm not sure, but it seems to. It does a pretty good job at selecting. Like anytime I've gone through a whole month and it's come up with the best one, I look at it and say, yeah, I would agree with that. So I think it's pretty good at making the selections.
So, Greg, I have a question. If you have a similar scene and one is color and one is black and white, will it feature both of those as similar?
Well, it'll probably score both of them very well. One might just score a little better than the other. I mean, I've swiped through and had, a couple that are so close to being the same thing, and there could be like a 2 or 3 percentage point difference between them for some reason.
But it'll recognize similarity regardless of color.
As far as that goes, I'm not 100% sure.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, like there's a lot of like experimenting to do with this yet. And I haven't talked to Reeflex about the how it works and everything else. They have a blog post about the app, and there's a link in the show notes about that. And if you're watching this right now, you'll see it in the video description. But so this picture here, this is the home screen. So you can see there's the overview shows how much storage you have, how many you have to review yet, and all that stuff. Then it's got the similars, and I'm just gonna kind of go through these a little bit. So this is the similar photos. I'm gonna go to where you swipe. Okay, so this one here, and I'll try to, if I can, I'll try to put these in the podcast file so that they show up on the screen so people can actually see what I'm talking about. It's going to take a bit of work, but I think it's worth it because for us to talk about this, it's easy to follow along on the video, but for the audio listeners, I think it'd be worth having something there to look at. So, this image here is, now you're in the month of January 2025 and you're swiping, and it shows you how many you've swiped and how many total shots there are. Now it says elements, and I think that may have changed because these pictures were obviously taken during a beta. Oh no, it still says elements even in the release app. But that's how many you have to swipe through. So on this particular example that we're looking at, it's 517 pictures to go through, and they've done 331 up to this point. And then it shows you how much space you saved.
And that's January alone, correct?
Yes, that's just for January 2025 for whoever's phone this is. I'm going to assume it's somebody at Reeflex in this picture. Yeah. So okay. So this is this image here is what you get when you open the SwAipe or the Explore screen in SwAipe, and so it's broken down by year, and then it's by month, and then by individual photo. So and again, it's like, from what we understand, right, Dwight? It looks like a dating app where you swipe right. You can see the green heart on the image. That means to go to the right to like it, or go to the left where the trash can is to put it in the trash. And I'll see if I can find one that shows the trash. I don't think I have one, no. So when you put it in the trash, like I said, it's not deleting them. So don't worry. When you're swiping through, there's a little back button styled arrow in the top right corner of the screen that you tap that, and you can keep tapping it to keep bringing them back in again if you want to look at them again, or maybe change your mind and swipe it the other way. So it's basically just like an undo button, and you can keep going. You can do it, as far as I know, as many times as you want. So so about the scoring now. So it gives you a score based on, those things that we're trying to figure out. And then once you get the whole month done, it shows you the photo of the month with the high score. So in the example you're seeing on the screen now, and in the podcast app, there's a picture of a young lady here, and it's got a score of 77.1%. So it was the highest scoring photo that they've swiped through for that month. And there's going to be, okay, so you're probably wondering, why are they scoring it? Like, what's the purpose of that? Well, they're probably, according to, I think it's their, I think they had a Facebook post that was linking to the article or the blog post that they put on their website, that, in the future there could be contests or little competitions to have something to do with these scores. And what they'll do with that, I don't know. Whether they'll give stuff away, or I don't know what they plan to do with that, or just give you some recognition at least. Um, but the scoring is kind of cool because, like I say, the highest scored images that it's given me for each month that I've gone through, I pretty much have to agree with. There was one that I kind of disagreed with, but the more I look at it, the more I think, yeah, okay, I can see why it did that. If it's using um, uh, sharpness and composition and that sort of thing. But it would be nice to know um, more about how it's getting this information, or what it's using to create these scores. And I would love to have Salvador on the podcast sometime so that he can kind of describe it. But if I can't get him on, then I'm certainly going to ask the guys, okay, how does this work? What do you, without giving any, trade secrets away, but how is it, uh, doing the AI? Like, what's it picking? What is it judging the image on? So, I think it's a worthwhile question to ask them for sure. And, just how much they want to give away, I don't know.
When I'm reading at it, it doesn't give you that AI best of until you've swiped an entire month. So I'm assuming the grading is somewhat based on what you consider a good and bad one yourself. Because otherwise it would go through beforehand.
That's a good point, Dave.
But the thing is as you're going through, they populate on the bottom.
Right.
So you can see the best one so far.
Right. But what I'm saying is, when you swipe left, let's say you don't like that, it'll update its algorithm and say, okay, this type of photo is a negative, so judge it lower. But if you swipe right, it may, this is just my conjecture, it may, that's why you agree with the AI, because I think the AI may be, because if it didn't need your input, it would go through your photo gallery and say, here's the scores we're giving it.
Yeah, I don't think it goes through them.
That's what I'm saying
beforehand.
And that's why I'm saying
goes,
that's why it takes into account what you like and not.
Well, I can tell you that I have gone through a bunch of photos, and there were some that were similar that basically didn't even show up on the rankings on the bottom of the screen as I was going through them, whereas some would. So, even though I've maybe got rid of some, like swipe left on some, I would swipe right, and some of them would still, like, there's, like, especially the macro stuff. I tend to take a lot of macro shots of the same thing, trying to get just the right focus point and all this stuff. And if I'm going through, okay, keep it, throw it out, keep it, throw it out, keep it. As I'm doing the keepers, they're so close to the ones I'm throwing out at the same time that sometimes they score really well. Sometimes they don't even get scored at all, or very little. So I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. It's kind of weird. It's going to be interesting to hopefully find out, what they're doing here, with the AI. But I just think it's a very interesting concept, and I really do like the app. I mean, it's very clean. It's very well built. They put an update out. I'm still on the beta. Like, I'm on a pre-release, which it was like the release version that first came out, and I haven't got it updated yet. So it was version 1.0, and then 1.0.1 came out. It's either yesterday or today, with a slight update, but it was basically just bug fixes from what I understand. So I don't know. In my blog post, I wrote about this, and I said it's pretty much bug free when it came out, and you don't see that very often. What they found for bugs, I don't know. It must have been something pretty small, because I haven't had a lick of trouble with this thing. It's been flawless. It works great. Hasn't crashed my phone. Doesn't heat it up. It works really good, and is beautifully designed. I think anyway. It's a great design, and I'm glad they brought it out, because they've been focusing, no pun intended, they've been focusing on the camera stuff with all their prior apps, but now they're actually getting into the photo management side of it, and they've even made it a little fun. So it's interesting.
Now, I will mention that it is free to download. A monthly access, at least in the US, is $6, and the lifetime access is $20. I'm rounding up versus like, so
good.
Yeah.
If it's something that you think you really would want, I would say go with however you want to spend your money, but basically lifetime access is a little over 3 months worth of monthly.
Yeah.
And they don't, for this one, I know a lot of companies have a monthly, yearly, and lifetime. This one is just, it looks like the lifetime and the monthly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought it when it came out. I like supporting this team. I think they put out really nice products. So I went ahead and bought it. And, I do commit to exploring the app a little bit more. And I think, I'm not sure, Dave, but it might still be what they're considering a launch promotion. If it's that price. Yeah. I think they've mentioned it's about 50% off right now.
Oh, wow.
For launch promotion.
That's significant. Yeah.
Yeah. I could be wrong though, but I seem to remember that.
Yeah. So, I'm going to pull on the screen again here. I'm going to share this again, so that I can pull up the screenshot for the similar photos. So looking at this, okay, so these are basically identical, like these sets of images that you see here. And they go by date, by day. And so the one on the left-hand side is the one that it thinks is going to be the keeper. And it's not always going to be the same as the rest of them. Like I said before, it's going to show similar photos, but it's going to use its AI algorithm to say, okay, this is the one that's the best out of the bunch, and this is the one that you might want to keep. Now, I hope this is what comes out in an update sometime. It doesn't necessarily mean that this is the highest resolution, or like a RAW file, or the biggest file sized image. Like when you got two the same like this, I would like to think that that's what they're doing, but I don't know for sure. So that's why I'm swiping through my phone like crazy. I've gone through hundreds and hundreds of pictures, and I still have a bunch to go yet, but I'm actually not going to remove them from the trash until I find out, okay, the ones I'm keeping, are they the best ones? Like, technically, are they the best ones? Like under the hood. Once I find out the answer to that, then I'll say, okay, well, if that's what they are, then I'll get rid of the ones I've thrown in the trash can. But as far as the similars go, I haven't gone through my similar photos yet. Again, for that reason, I want to keep the best ones and get rid of because when you're swiping through, you can, and you have some that are similar. Like I'm notorious for, when I edit a photo, especially in another app, like another editor other than the Photos app, I'm really bad for exporting it as another file. So I'm going to have a gazillion similar photos here. but it's because I like to keep the original, and I want to keep my edited version as, you know, a standalone image. That way I can go back to the original and redo it if I want. Probably not the best practice, especially when it comes to, you know, file management on a phone, but that's what I've been doing. And
well, and also some apps you don't have that option. You know,
well, this is
if you
true.
use Lightroom Mobile, you can't save. It makes you save as a copy. Or some of their ones I use like Visionist or Picasso or ArtCard, they make you save. They save a new version automatically. So you're a lot of times, you know, I have my original. I'll do something in Lightroom. It'll save a copy, and I put it in something else. Saves a copy to saves a copy. So I have like
Yeah.
five stages of a photo, and it's kind of, you know, it's like each step of the editing process saves a copy.
Yeah, in some ways that's a good thing, but it just, you know, then you get so many that are almost the same
Yeah,
type of thing,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, Greg, I have a question
So,
about the similar photos. Let's say you look at that top line of the gal,
yep.
and you decide you would want to keep the one on the right and delete the one on the left. Is there a way to switch that?
Yeah, you can tap on the garbage can, the trash symbol, and it turns into a heart.
Oh, okay. And then vice versa?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And okay, so now a lot of times, like, this is just showing two images that are similar. But if you got more than two, you'll see the trail. They'll trail off outside of off the screen, and then you can actually swipe across and go through them that way. And now it just shows a square thumbnail, so it doesn't give you the whole image. But and I don't know if you can tap on an image to see if it's okay. So I got a bunch here that I took today. I'm swiping across. No, as soon as you tap you don't have to tap on the garbage can. You just tap on the image, and um, it changes it from the trash can to the heart. And also, this on the screen, what you're looking at, the images are both highlighted. Both the one that it wants to save and the one it wants to trash. But in the app, the trash ones are kind of dimmed down a bit, but they lighten up, they brighten up as soon as you tap them to save them, like to turn the garbage can into a heart. So, yeah, it's not like you can open the image and see the whole image again and review it before you want to delete the duplicate or the similar photo. But yeah, but as you can see, you know, you can go across, and you know, I got a bunch of pictures of a cardinal I took today, and spoiler alert, the cardinal is one of my recent photos. But if you got more than just two, then they, like I say, they go off to the side, out off the screen type of thing. But you swipe over to bring them back and have a look. And I'm just discovering I'm so terrible at describing things sometimes. But anyway, so yeah, so that's, you know, that's the similar photos and how that works. And again, you know, when you hit delete, you can look on the screen there, and it says delete one because it has one marked for trash. And when you hit that, it just goes into the trash can down at the bottom right of the screen, where all the other ones that are swiped left. It goes in there. It doesn't delete them completely again until you go through and literally dump them from the phone. Now, another good thing about this is it creates an AI album that can be used in that actually shows up in the Photos app as an album that you've created with your best of type of things. So you can take your say the month of January of this year, and you've got 200 pictures that you've swiped through, and you've kept 100 good ones, and you've thrown 100 away. So now you got 100 pictures that have all got a score or a ranking on them, and you can create an album, and that album can consist of all of them, or you can pick the ones you can filter through, and you can select the ones that are just in the top 10 percentage points, like 90% and above, or you can go 80% and above, or 70, 60, 50% above. That's as far as it goes. It doesn't go any more than that. And then you can only, you can create an album that has just those pictures in it. And like I say, and then you can give it a name, give the album a name. And like I say, it shows up in your Photos app. Like you could call it Best of January 2025. And then you've got you can make a slideshow with it, whatever you want to do with it in the Photos app. But I think that's another cool feature too, is creating albums of your ranked images, and you can put as many or little as you want in there. So I thought that was kind of cool. And and then okay, I'm trying to think how this works. The best of, when you open up a month that you've swiped through. Oh no, sorry. Okay, the best of. The best of is your overall best images. That's it. It's not the best of a certain month. At least I don't think it is. Oh yeah, okay, it does it. It does do this for each individual month. So what you do is, when you have gone through the whole month, it's completed. In the first screen, when you find, okay, you see they're broken down into years. And then, okay, say you tap on 2023 for example. And then now, since you've swiped them all, if they're all been swiped, and you've got all your keepers there, now each month will show a big version, like a picture that is the number one ranked picture of that month, and below it is 3 thumbnails of the second, third, and fourth. When you go into that month, you tap into it, it shows the photo of the month. That's the one that you see, the big one for each month. And then right above that is a thing that says best photos with a row of images. You type that, and now you've got your AI gallery. And this AI gallery is where all your scored images are, ranked from the best at the top down to the worst at the lower, or at the bottom. And depending on how many images you kept, that would depend on how many's in this part here. So so it would look like this here. So the best of whatever month you're looking at. And then at the bottom is a sort icon, and you can sort by score, or by recently swiped, or by oldest first or newest first, or you can filter them. And this is where you filter them by the AI score, 50% or more, 60 or more, 70 or more, and so on. And then from there, that's where you can, on the top right corner, you see a photo icon. You tap that, and that's where it makes your gallery that you can put in the Photos app. I know I'm sounding so confused right now, but there's so much, there's a lot in this app that I haven't really mastered yet, because I've just been spending all my time swiping left and right, and I'm not really diving too deep into the other things here. But I'm trying to, that's why I'm going to take the time and put all these screenshots that Reeflex put out to accompany what I'm talking about here, so people will know what I'm saying, or know what to look for in the app. But it's a bloody good app. I don't know what else I can say about it, but it's I had no idea it was coming out, and I talked to these guys the odd time, a little bit here and there, but I had no idea it was coming out. And about a week before the release, I was offered a test flight link to try it out before it went live, and that's when I wrote my blog post about it, and I like it. Well, I don't know what else I could say. So, do you guys have any if there's 3 people watching live, anybody that's watching, do you have any questions about it or anything that, that we can help you answer? Or what about you guys? Do you guys have any other questions about it?
No, I just need to play with it a little more and explore. I think what kind of, when I first opened it, it said you had 18,000 pictures to swipe, so I closed the app. Who's got
You are
that
going to
kind of
be a
time?
busy fella.
So, but I think, now that we can break it down month to month, I don't have to do them all. I can,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anytime I start going through them, I'll do a month and then, I'll close it back up and carry on at another time because, it really can consume a lot of time by, just sitting there swiping and swiping and swiping. So, yeah, but once it's done, all you have to do is going forward, um, for the current month that you're in, or even if you don't do anything that month and you're into the next month, it'll show you, um, you're only 98% done that month. So you got some swiping to do to finish going through that month. So it'll be easy to keep up once you've got them all done. As long as you don't let it sit there for a few months or whatever, but it's easy to keep up and carry on, sorting through them. And I like that because I'll go out and I'll take a whole pile of pictures of a lot of times the same bloody thing. Why? I don't know. But and then it's easy to keep up because it only takes you a few seconds to swipe through them, and then you can actually empty the trash every time too, and that way it goes into the recently deleted in your Photos app, and then if you don't think about them after that, well, they're gone after a month anyway. So eventually you'll start saving space on your phone, and that's kind of what it's meant for too, is to help you save space. So Ray Bazinski says he's gonna have to play with it first. Well, yeah, careful, Ray, because once you start, depending on how many you got, though, like it could take you a while to get through them all. I think I had about 8,000 or so. I forget what the number was, but and I'm still working through 2024. The 2025 I had done because it was more recent and there wasn't that many, but I've been through all my other years and I've got 2024 to go through yet, and I got maybe 2 or 3 months finished. So still lots to swipe. But there's some YouTube reviews. Anno Dave has done one. It's a really good one. I'll put a link to that in the show notes, and I'll also put a link to Reeflex's own videos about it. And I think there might be another guy that's done a review on it. Any that I could find, I'll put in the show notes. So that'll kind of give you, like, they can do more in 10 minutes than all the rambling I've done in 45 here. So just to give you a good idea how it works. So I guess now we'll move on to our recent photos. And since you've already been looking at your phone for the thumbnail or the screenshots from SwAipe, don't forget, you can look at these ones on your phone as well. And I'm not sure, but I think I've got my own set to go first. And there it is. Okay.
Oh, yeah, beautiful.
So like I said, I had a cardinal picture, and so I was out walking the dog today before we went on our drive, and I heard this cardinal. They've got a very distinct song about them, and I looked up, and there it was. And of course, this is the male. The females are more like of a brown color, and so this is cropped a little bit, but I used my 240 millimeter reflex lens to capture this guy, and I think I might have cropped in maybe 40%. It was the sharpest picture I got out of the bunch because, like a dummy, I was excited that I wanted to get a better picture before we left, and I actually pinched to zoom a little bit more in the 5X camera in Reeflex, and they're just not as good. So this is, normal full resolution without any zooming or anything else. And all I did was in Affinity Photo, I used a high pass filter just to try to sharpen the details a little bit more. But other than that, it's just as it was shot. So, and it was Pro Raw. I I think it was Pro Raw. Oh, it might have been JPEG, but I know it wasn't Bayer Raw. And so when I did the crop, I did a square crop deliberately because that's how they show up in the phones on the podcast app and that. And I put the bulk of the bird's body in the lower right hand third where the rule of thirds lines intersect, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's that's cool. The contrasting colors, and then you wonder what he or she is thinking, kind of looking up and away from everything. Yeah, that's a testament to that lens, right? You would never get that with a standard zoom.
No, not even close. And he was about, I want to say, 20 feet away.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
the Reeflex team just released an update to their camera app to where it'll work now with your Apple Watch. And I'm thinking about setting my phone up with this lens on a hummingbird feeder, and then stand inside, and then when they're there, try to get some shots. But yeah, that's I like that. I like the colors and
oh, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, the red really pops without being blown out, which is always a trouble with reds. You want, especially a cardinal picture like this, you want the red to really show, but you don't want to have bleeding red everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was just really nice, and it's probably looking up, wondering, it was thinking, there's so much snow on the ground.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There was another one on the other side of this park. I could hear it too, and so he was listening to that, and I don't know. Maybe he's thinking, "Oh, you try to
come in my turf
encroach
territory.
on my turf here." Or the next thing you know, he just flew off in that direction. So now I don't know if the females have the same call. Any birders out there, help us out. I don't know if they have the exact same call as the males do. So it could have been a female that was over there. I don't know, but it sounded exactly like this one. But yeah, it was good. I got about 7 or 8 pictures of it before he flew away. So, cool. All right. So next we got Dwight's.
Okay, I had to go down to San Diego last week for work, and to beat traffic, I got up pretty early, and I figured, you know what, the place where I'm going to be meeting with my customer isn't too far from Torrey Pines. So this is the famous 18th hole on the finishing hole on the Torrey Pines South course. And part of the lodges and stuff are off to the left. It's a really beautiful property. I didn't really capture the Torrey Pines in here too much, but I kind of like the, you can see the horizon off in the distance, and there's some nice big cliffs that go down to the beach down there. And if you ever watch this tournament, there's usually a lot of hang gliders and what have you catching the updraft on those cliffs. But this is a beautiful property. If you ever get out to, around La Jolla out in San Diego, it's definitely worth seeing and playing if you're a golfer.
Do you ever golf?
Yeah, I used to play a lot more than I do now. I've just been too busy now, and then, weekends takes too much time. But I'm still around about a 13 handicap.
That's good.
And I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I mean, roughly shoot about, 12, 13 over par.
Oh, okay.
On average, yeah.
So is Torrey Pines a public course, or is it a private?
It's a public course,
Okay.
and if you don't live in a specific portion of San Diego, it's a very expensive course to play. Hundreds of dollars. And if you're a resident of, I think it's the city of San Diego, I think it's about $35 to play.
And honestly, I can understand that because it's the city's probably since it's a public course, the city's the one that is doing all the upkeep on it. So people are already paying with their tax dollars for the course, versus people who come in and play it like, oh, you're not paying for the upkeep because of taxes, so we're going to charge you more this way.
Yeah. And, it's an iconic course, so people play for it. They'll pay for it. Yeah, and I did all of this editing in Photoshop. I had it at a 5.4, and then there was just too much foreground, so I brought it down to a 16:9. I think I like this better. And it was a raw photo, not pro raw, so I did denoise it and upscale it in Topaz, and then finished it in Photoshop.
Yeah, cool. Did you happen to do a sky replacement?
No, I'm not a big fan of that for, if I'm featuring a photo, unless it's some type of artistic expression of my photo, I would definitely disclose that. But this is a fun one to do that with. I think might be the same photo that we played around with a little bit when we were all on the call late last week.
I think you're right. I thought it looked familiar. Yeah.
It's just the composition's a little different because I cropped it. But real easy sky replacement, Luminar on one, or one of those programs.
Yeah, and I meant to mention it at the beginning of the show, but I got kind of on track about talking about SwAipe that I forgot to even do the housekeeping stuff at the beginning of the show. I might as well throw it in there now. So we're going to talk about Luminar Mobile on the next show. And I'll leave it at that. So and at the end of that show, Dwight's going to do a demo on the Luminar Edit. And I just want to remind everybody about VoiceCast. So if you want to leave us a message, like a voice message, there's a link in the show notes that takes you to the website where you can, just leave a voice message, and we love to hear from the listeners and find out, what you want us to talk about, what you want us to highlight or whatever. And finally, for the YouTubers, people watching on YouTube, tonight we started at 7:30 Eastern, and going forward, we're going to be starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. We used to do it at 9, but for some reason we had no idea why we were doing it so late. So we're going to transition that to 7 p.m. Eastern, and that way, it's not so late for some people. It might be too early for others, but it kind of works out for the three of us. That'll be a good time to do it. So I should have put all that at the beginning of the show, and I totally forgot about it. So, and meanwhile, I got the notes looking right. They're looking at me right in my face. But anyway, so getting back to this image, Dwight, I like the crop. I remember looking at it the other night, when we were playing around with it, and I do like this crop better because I think any more foreground would probably be too much, like you said. And if you just took it off the bottom, that's great. If you took it as some off the top, I think that's good too, because I think it works really well for what it is, because it's a kind of a vast scene. It goes off in the distance and whatnot, and I think the 4.3 might kind of make it look a little too wide open on the top and bottom, whereas
everything would have been
kind of deserves to be in the side.
Everything would have been way more pushed out, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Alrighty, so now we got one from Dave.
Yep, and this was taken on a run. And this is a church actually in Verona on top of one of the hills. And I did some major editing on here to kind of give it a faded look about it. Mainly because even though there is grass there, the grass is pretty much brown. And we're still in the stick season. So you can see the bushes there. There's no foliage, there's no greenery anywhere. And just the way the church with its brownness, I just kind of look how it looked that way. This was I believe the ultra wide lens, and I did have to use retouch to get rid of some part right there in the middle. There was I forget exactly what it was, but there was something there in the middle it's one of those, yes, we have to have it here because like I said, I literally forget what it is now, but it was like a gas pipe or, one of those things you need to have for utilities, but it ruins the shot. So I did use retouch to get rid of that. But yeah, the sky was that mostly cloudy with little bits of blue popping through too.
Yeah, that's an interesting photo, and the reds and the oranges, kind of how you did that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to classify it, and I would say it's more artistic than maybe faded. I think that so now are the bushes brown normally?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I see what you did. So you played with the hue of your browns, oranges, and yellows, and kind of to get that color in those HSL sliders.
I don't know if I use that, but basically, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And
no,
actually, let me double
that's
check.
fun to do.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna actually go back because it's one of those things that was at least a week ago, and kind of like everything else, at least for me, after I do something, and it's like, okay, what did I use to edit this? I forgot. That was Photomator.
Yeah.
That was at least done Photomator.
So you probably use those HSL sliders to isolate those colors and change the hues. So yeah, I mean that's that's fun to do that, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool.
Thanks.
If this was taken in my hometown, that sign would say "Holy Family" and that's it. Because the rest would be buried in snow.
True.
I mean, that's how much snow we have. Even still, like maybe, like I say, it's gone down some, but it's nice to see a picture like Dwight's picture it's a golf course, so it's all green grass, and that's really lovely to see. But even in Pittsburgh, or in just outside of Pittsburgh, where you are, Dave, it's nice to see grass. Even if it's brown, it's just nice to see grass.
I can imagine. We had that little spit here, a little bit where we had like a week of complete snow cover.
Yeah. But I think compositionally this is really cool too, because even though the building is kind of close to center, there's enough things around it that kind of offset it a little bit. Like the sign is just a little off center to the building itself, and it's probably just because of where you're standing, and and then you've got the looks like a chimney with the cross up on the top. It's off to the side. You've got the big bushes that on the side that are, it gives it an element of symmetry. So you've got a mix of symmetry and a little off-centeredness, I guess you can say, and then beyond that, whatever's in behind, well, it's equally spaced on the sides of the frame. So it looks like it's cropped a little bit. I don't know if you went 16:9 completely with it.
Well, what I did is I took it using the 0.5 lens, and then I cropped it in. Because this was taken from the sidewalk right outside the church. So if I took it with the 1X lens, it wouldn't get everything in.
Yeah.
I had to do the ultra wide, and then I cropped in from the ultra wide.
Yeah. So but it's and I like the treatment that you've given with the colors and whatnot. Like it just screams end of winter.
Bring the heat.
Like you say, yeah, bring on the heat. And it looks like it won't be long before that lawn will be turning green and
needing to cut it.
Yeah, and it'll need to be cut. But no, it's a good image, and even the colors in the sky, the blues, and you get some parts that are aqua, kind of looks cool too. So
yeah, that was a little boosted because the sky, I mean, it was blue, but it didn't have like the aqua and the deep blue. That's because of the processing I did that kind of pushed that up.
Oh yeah. Well, it's cool. It's a nice catch because it's kind of one of those things where you could probably go by and not even think of taking a picture of it, but um, yeah, you captured it well.
Thanks.
So this is my second one, and this is, wait for it, a snert bank.
Snow and dirt. Snow and dirt combo. Yep.
Yeah. So this is out at a local beach. It's probably the big main beach of this area because it's a beach that stretches for miles. And I was sitting in my truck on the other side of the road, looking straight across, and on the other side of that, other side of those trees is a few sand dunes. Then you get to the beach and then the water. And this was a lovely view that people have at this time of the year, or for this year anyway. So that snowbank is probably about 8 feet high. And I think there were parts, along that road, parts were obviously lower, but there was the odd part that might have been a little higher too. But there was no cars coming either way, so I was able to just stop and get this picture. But yeah, so in order to keep the road open, they had like heavy machinery with really big snow blowers, and they've gone down the side of the road to open up that lane. Otherwise, the road would have been non-existent. And so they've taken the snow and they've thrown it up that's what's making these banks higher. I wouldn't say that it's all because of snowfall, but in order to get the road cleared off, they've had to blow that snow somewhere. So it got blown up over the bank, and there it is. And I have a few other pictures. I shared one with these guys looking down the road, and there's a woman walking along the road, and the bank is higher than her head. And further down from that is a minivan, and it's obviously higher than the minivan. So we got a lot of snow this year, and it's the whole area is like this. It's not just the town I live in or close proximity to it. It's the whole twin counties that I live in. We all got lambasted with snow this year. So, and now it's snert season because with the melting snow and everything else, it's all looking dirty, and it's just this is the time of year where I am not not motivated to take a picture at all. But I forced myself to take this one because I really haven't got much in the last couple of weeks since the last show for our recent photos. So I made myself take a couple of shots today, and this is one of the ones I got. And disclosure, I did the edit in Luminar Mobile, and I did do a sky replacement on this. It was a cloudy sky, but it looked kind of boring the way it was. So I just added one of the sky replacements in that comes with Luminar Mobile, and I think it just kind of makes it look a little better.
Yeah, it did a good job. They've come a long way with their sky replacement tool.
I think there might be a little hiccup right at the top of that tree there in the middle.
Well, it may be a hiccup, but it's kind of hard to tell because it since it's blue, it kind of would look like it would match.
Yeah, and I didn't notice that till now, to be honest with you. I didn't notice it before.
And that's one thing a lot of people forget about when you're shooting in winter in snowy areas. It seems like you either have completely grayed over sky or completely clear. And either way, the sky, I love beautiful blue skies. We had some today. We had yesterday. I enjoy it, but from a photography standpoint, it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
You need some contrast, some clouds, something out there. And also when it's
Yep.
like gray overcast, which is least common in Pittsburgh. We are the grayest city in the US. That kind of, especially in the winter, because the snow most of the time isn't this pure, pristine white unless you get out there first. It's been, especially if you live in the city, it's been there's a little bit of dirt in it. People probably salting their sidewalk, salting the street. So it's kind of grayish, and then the sky's grayish. So everything just kind of gray.
Yeah.
So that is where something like the sky replacement, and my thought is, as long as you let people know, that's fine.
Yeah. I was, when sky replacement tools first started coming out, I was a little, that's not right. It's not something you should be able to do. But, for Pete's sake, we're in an AI world now. Everything's going AI. And like you say, as long as it's disclosed, I don't see a problem with, with doing it. And as long as it looks all right, like it can't look fake. It's got to look like it kind of belongs there. So, that's one of the good things about Luminar Mobile is you can do this, and you can actually even put your own skies in. So,
yeah, I don't see.
And then the other interesting thing.
I'm sorry, Greg.
Go ahead, Dwight.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I don't see too much haloing around the trees and stuff like that. I know early on you would get some of that. But yeah, I think it did a really good job with this replacement. And the composition is interesting with the kind of the central composition of the top of the what'd you call it?
Oh, the snert
bank. But it works because you want to show what's going on. You need to give it some depth and some perspective here. I'm assuming this road down here is just the main road, and in the summertime, it's flat going down to the beach or whatever from that point. So
it's actually so at the edge of the road, for about maybe 8 to 10 feet, there's room for diagonal parking all along there, and then there's some sand dunes, so you have to kind of walk up over the sand dunes, and there's access points in different places down this road where they would rather you just take the access path, I guess you could say. Or it could be a boardwalk, or it could be just like a sand path, but they don't want you really traipsing through the dunes because they want to keep them, natural, right? They don't want people ruining them. So you find an access point and you walk out to the beach. So the dunes might go for maybe, it could be anywhere from 20 to 100 yards, depending on the shape of them and all that stuff. And then you hit the beach. So it's not too far away.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for showcasing this. It's very interesting.
Well, I wanted to get out there, different times this winter, and I really wanted to get out before the melting started because I wanted to see just, okay, how much do they have out there? I've seen people put pictures on Facebook from there or whatever, but you always want to get your own pictures of it. But the other thing I like to look at too, or realize on this image, is the layering. That you'd almost see the different. It's almost like layers of sediment in stone, right? And that's just how the snowbank built up over time. And it's not all because of the blower. A lot of that is just because, this day it snowed, and then this day it snowed some more, and then the next day it snowed some more, that type of thing. I think that's basically how it got built up.
One of the questions I have, you did this in Luminar Neo mobile only, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see that white mark on the right, and I think we spoke about that earlier, is they don't have a histogram. So I'm kind of wondering where that white ended up in there on the histogram. If that's clipping or not.
Boost the whites just a little bit. And I'll be honest with you, I missed that. I didn't see that, or I'd be
interested to see if that's clipping. It kind of looks like it might be from here, but I
think, yeah. Like looking at it on my screen, it looks like it's definitely clipping.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd think the money with the money they charge, they'd put a histogram in there. But,
Yeah, hopefully
we'll tear that apart next show.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they'll, with more updates and stuff. They're pretty early into this thing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so one cloudy day to another, Dwight.
Yeah, this is Califia Beach, South Orange County, just north of Camp Pendleton, about a quarter mile north of the Nixon Estate, which is just north of Camp Pendleton as well, along this stretch of beach. The resolution looks a little weird on this thing, but I think it's what I kind of liked about this was this gal was just kind of deep in thought. She was sitting, and I was just down there. I was getting ready to go to a barbecue. And I said, you know what, it's gonna be raining the next couple of days. So, just go down and see this beach. I'd never really been down here before, and she was sitting down reading a book, and then she stood up, and I thought, her hair is pretty cool. It's very blonde. Um, so I got that shot there. I think compositionally it's okay. I got my horizon, pretty much in the lower third, and she's at the intersection point there. I did I did this in Luminar Neo, and I did it in Photoshop. I think this is the Photoshop version. It was a raw photo, and I did have to dodge the sand a little bit to bring back some of the luminosity there. Otherwise, it was going to be too dark. And yeah, I worked the sky separately. Tried not to overdo it, and it looked good in color. And but I thought it looked better in monochrome. When you look at the highlights in the sky, they kind of match the highlights of her hair, kind of on the sides, blowing in the breeze. Kind of hard to see from here. But overall, a nice day. The train goes through there, and I was wearing some headphones, and I looked both ways to get across the tracks to get on the beach, and I'll be darned, as soon as I stepped on the tracks, there was a train coming around about 100 yards away from me, and I was like, "Oh, there's no lights or warnings here." So I guess I was lucky I looked. I mean, that was pretty wild.
Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah. So don't wear your headphones around the train tracks, folks.
Yeah.
But, looks like it's raining offshore. Yeah, I mean, it's just a simple picture, but it was I thought, a nice contrast photo for people to look at.
Yeah, and the black and white is well, without seeing the color, I think the black and white's definitely the way to go on this. And also, it is winter, even though at the beach, it is winter, so that kind of gives it the extra feel. And like you said, it honestly, the way she's standing and you can see her hair kind of getting picked up by the breeze, it it's almost like you lucked out because it looks like the same way you would ask a model to stand. As someone looking in the distance, kind of getting up out, whether it's something she read or she was finished with the chapter and she just decided to get up and just think, looking out in the ocean, or she saw, who knows, but it's one of those photos you can actually make a story out of.
Yeah, I think we spoke about this in the last one or the previous one. It's a happy mistake, I mean, I didn't ask her to, pose for me or anything like that. It was just I happened to be there, and I happened to have the camera up, and it just happened to work out, and I was very lucky. I guess we don't have these opportunities if we're not taking photos. So
what goes into my mind when I see this is that song by Don Henley, "The Boys of Summer." I mean, I know it's not fall, it's not autumn, but it just kind of has that vibe to it. It's kind of looks like it could be a cool day, the breeze blowing and all that. That's just kind of the song that kind of hits my mind when I see an image like this, where it's a lonely beach, one person, totally secluded, and the busy time is gone. Like the busy time is over. And you'd almost kind of get that feeling with all the footprints you see around the beach. I mean, it looks like it must be a busy place at times.
It was busy at this time, but that Photoshop remove tool is beautiful. So
Yeah.
there were 3 or 4 people, if you looked right through her, walking along the beach there, that I did remove to kind of give it this mood. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. And you could have decided to crop about the whole top half of the frame off and leave it bottom heavy. But I think because of the fact that you see the sun glaring in the top right corner, I think it's the right move to leave it all in there.
Yeah, I looked at that,
It's
Greg,
got,
and I looked right at, I thought about the exact same thing. But since that horizon's on the lower third and all that contrast in the sky plus the sun, I thought it balanced it out.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, it looks great. Just it puts that song in my head, and
Yeah.
now it won't leave.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for, local folks around here to wear, a heavy shirt or sweatshirt and shorts.
Yeah.
If they're anything like me, I don't like wearing long pants if I don't have to.
Right. Yeah. No, it's cool, and nice detail in the foreground and whatnot too. So, and just the way the light catches her hair, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Speaking of trains,
yeah, man, this was
wasn't heading south, was it, Dave?
Yes, it was.
Hey, that was my train.
Yeah. So this is actually the town next to me, Oakmont, and the train tracks still run through the middle of town. It's I would say it's separated. The road basically splits above and below. And this was just at lunchtime, and just noticing this particular train, I never noticed it before, but it's getting frequent, like around 12:30, 12:50, headed south. I think it heads north overnight. Just to be obvious, it's not a passenger train, but I just like the way where the train was just coming through, and I did an edit in Photomator where it took the train and I put a motion blur for everything else behind it, and kind of reduced the I'm trying to remember if I think I pushed up the train more instead of pushing back the background, just to make the train pop a little bit more, especially with the red and the yellow colors there on the engine.
Mm-hmm.
So Dave, so you isolated the train, in a mask and then blurred the background, or did Photomator recognize what the background?
Photomator does that automatically.
Yeah. So my first question I was going to ask you is,
hold on. No, I'm sorry. I have to correct myself. Not Photomator, Photo Room.
Okay, got it.
Photo Room. I'm sorry. Photo Room app, which the main idea behind Photo Room is it does use, may want to call it AI or whatever logic it has on its own to really isolate the subject.
Yeah, I mean, my first question to you was, were you following the subject with your camera to get that blur, at a different shutter speed? Yeah, I dig this photo. I mean, the yellow and the reds, the subject is popping and the background is, less saturated and more industrial looking. And, I think you've captured a pretty dynamic scene here. And I like what you did. I'll have to play with that app.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, that's the app I use to create Greg's favorite photo.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. The blue cat.
Yeah.
Because it uses basically it does the mask automatically, and then you can make little edits. Like I made some minor changes to the mask. It does a pretty good job automatically though. And then you can do, you can cut it out like anything else and put a different background, or do like a matching, or like make the background sepia, or make the background black and white, and do motion blur. So the motion blur here is 100% through the app itself.
Yeah.
So this
that's
was
cool.
this was literally me waiting for the train. You hear the train go, you have to wait for the train because I have to make a left-hand turn. So I'm like, oh, I'll pull down the window and take a photo.
Mm-hmm.
Right from the
Oh
car.
yeah,
Okay.
right
well
from the
done.
car. Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So Dwight's image put a song in my head, and this one puts a movie to mind. And it was that movie with, I thought I had the name Unstoppable. Was that it? With Denzel Washington, where
Yes.
um,
Yeah, the train.
train is a
It's a
runaway
runaway
train.
train, and they have to stop it before it
Yeah.
crashes into a
And
town.
so this is going through, it looks like people's houses right there beside the track.
Yeah.
Poor resale value, I would say,
Hey, believe it or not,
with the train going through.
Oakmont here is a very expensive borough. Very expensive.
Yeah.
So
Got a nice country club there too, right?
Oh yeah. So this goes the train tracks were there before the town.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things of, we have a train stop here, we'll make a town around it.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, this is the main boulevard of the town. The upper part's known as Allegheny River Boulevard. The bottom one is Allegheny Boulevard. And there is a walking path right next to the tracks that goes kind of the entire length of the town.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really think it's like an interesting concept. And so I suspect the train wasn't moving too quickly.
Through town it does slow it down.
30 mile an
through
hour.
town it does slow down the speed.
Yeah, so but it really gives it that sense of motion for sure. And it just makes me think of that movie because that was a really good. I want to watch the movie again now. And it was a really good movie because the train is just going through towns and everything else, and that's just what this looks like. So and making the train pop and leaving everything else, I think that was a good move too, because it puts a lot of emphasis on the train, which is basically the subject of the photo. So well done.
Thanks.
Well done for sure. So, and I think that is it. Yep, that is the last one. So, all right. Well, so that's our recent photos. And again, use the voice cast link in the show notes to, maybe give your thoughts on something on one of the pictures or whatever, on anything that you heard, or give us some ideas, things that you want us to talk about on the show. If there's if there's a guest or somebody that you would like to see us try to get, throw it out there, throw anything at us. The only message we've got in there so far was from a guy at VoiceCast. so the lines are open.
Bring it.
Use it up. And I guess on that note, there's no demo or nothing this week, but stay tuned on the next show when we're going to talk about Luminar Mobile, and it's the mobile version of Luminar Neo, and right now it's on sale until I'm not sure when, but
I think it's only today.
Was it?
It's through the 10th, I believe.
Okay. Oh, okay. Because the desktop version was 75% off. Now, I think it might go till March 31st. I'm not sure. I was tempted, but I thought I've already got, I don't know how many.
Greg, I can't believe you didn't buy it. We have all of the other ones. Why did you stop on that one?
Well, I did buy the mobile one. So there's that.
Yeah.
I'll have hope for it that it gets a few more features in the future. I'm probably going to send them an email saying, hey, could you put this in? Could you put that in? Could you put this in?
Yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to demo the mobile app. I might have to pre-record it on my iPad or have a separate attendee for this and then share my screen off my iPad, but we can work that out.
Well, you could share your phone screen right from there too.
Yeah, I have it on my iPad as well.
Yeah. So we'll get together beforehand.
Yeah.
And we'll figure out the details on that.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So anyway, well, Dwight, I hope your workload lessens a little bit for you in the coming days, and because I know talking to you, you've been just completely swamped, and that ain't right.
Yeah.
And Dave, I hope your runs continue to get warmer for you. The knees are still holding it pretty good.
Everything's feeling good.
Yeah,
good.
Well, that's good. That's a lot better than what I could do. I could tell you that. 40 years on cement floors hasn't done my knees very, very well. So I would be afraid to try going on a 50-yard run. But anyway,
well, I was a catcher in baseball, and I'm waiting for mine to go. But I sound like popcorn.
Yeah, that's a lot of crouching. Yeah. Oh, mine crack like a handful of spaghetti when I get up and down sometimes. So, but anyway, all right. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and don't forget to tune in next time at 7:00 Eastern. And I guess we'll see you all in the next one.
Take care, everyone.
Have a great one, everyone.
Thanks for watching.